Hey everyone, and welcome back to MMA Alerts. Today, let's start with Sean O'Malley ending his fight with Conor McGregor. There is no longer a fight between bantamweight champion Sugar Sean O'Malley and former title Conor McGregor. The Irish star recently made fun of O'Malley on social media after Ryan Garcia failed a drug test. It looked like the two UFC stars were at odds, even though O'Malley had been a fan of McGregor's for a long time. O'Malley said on a recent episode of the Timbo Sugar Show that he is still excited about McGregor's return fight later this month, and that he and the former champion have ended their fight. With fight night coming up in just a few weeks, the excitement about McGregor's return keeps growing. The bantamweight champion and his coach Tim Welsh talked about this on the most recent episode of the Timbo Sugar Show. They said that no fighter has been the same after coming back from an injury as bad as the one McGregor had the last time we saw him fight. Since McGregor was hurt and had to miss a lot of time, it will be interesting to see how his return goes. Next, let us look at UFC referee clears up UFC 302 controversy. This past weekend, Kevin Holland put Michael Oleksiejczuk to sleep with an amazing armbar. This ended a two-fight losing streak in which he had lost both fights by decision. One thing that didn't end with Holland's loss was something else that did. Oleksiejczuk's arm seemed to break when he refused to tap out. Holland said after the fight that he heard his opponent's arm pop during the submission. The fight was stopped by Judge Herb Dean, but Oleksiejczuk protested the decision, which shocked the MMA community because of how badly he was hurt. There was also some confusion because the fight ended with the judge stopping it instead of Oleksiejczuk tapping out. On social media, former fighter Alan Jubin asked experienced referee Big John McCarthy to explain what was going on. He wrote, "Big John McCarthy curious on the rules set for injuries like the arm break/dislocation last night. Fighters should be able to fight their way out. But is it the ref's job to stop the fight if they see an injury, or is it up to them to decide if the fighter is safe to keep going?" Then the person who came up with the idea for unified MMA rules wrote back, "What's up, Alan? The referee, who is an experienced fighter, should give the fighter every chance to get out of the submission. A dislocated or broken bone, on the other hand, means the fight is over. It doesn't matter if the fighter didn't tap. In records that say winner by technical submission armbar, it means that the fighter who lost let the limb get broken or dislocated. It means that the boxer passed out from a sub without tapping if you see it with a choke. Because of this, the fight between Holland and Oleksiejczuk is marked as a technical armbar on the topology, while the fight between Jalatan Almeida and Alexander Romanov is marked as a surrender." The next thing we'll look at is Stephen A. Smith warns Conor McGregor. It's no secret that the UFC could try to get Conor McGregor a shot at the title quickly after the win, just before his much-anticipated return to the cage. The possible situation has been talked about a lot in the MMA community. Longtime commentator Joe Rogan talked about it on the Joe Rogan Experience, and lightweight king Islam Makhachev even talked about it before his UFC 302 fight with Dustin Poirier. This week, ESPN's Stephen A. Smith said on First Take that McGregor has no business being in the cage against the grappler. Fans should also not call for a Makhachev-McGregor fight if he beats Michael Chandler. The Vegas for the Conor McGregor beam to make a fight out of metal. Honestly, it was one of the best events I've ever been to. It wasn't real. Okay, yes, of course. But that fight taught us that Conor McGregor has no business being in the cage with Makhachev, who is the grappler. This brother is really great, and he's not going to try to attack Conor McGregor.it. Would be interesting to see if McGregor does another sit-down interview with Stephen A. Smith before his UFC 303 fight later this month. He has already done one with Smith before. Let's look at Sean Strickland gets snubbed in an interview next. When asked about fighter pay before and after his UFC 302 fight with Paulo Costa this past weekend, former middleweight king Sean Strickland didn't hold back. Strickland was honest during fight week about the fact that the UFC usually doesn't pay their fighters fairly. This was because he had met with the UFC to talk about his pay before deciding to fight Costa. Strickland made fun of past UFC fighters who have switched to bare-knuckle boxing after winning the co-main event. He did this to show that he doesn't want to end up following in their footsteps. To answer, Eddie Alvarez, a former UFC champion who is now a bare-knuckle boxer, fought back against Strickland on a recent episode of the MMA Hour. That being said, Sean Strickland had a funny take on bare-knuckle. He said something like, "Caught it like a promotion and that they pay like blah, blah, blah." And I thought it was funny because he had fought in the UFC his whole life for free and had just gotten his first big paycheck, and now he's going to talk about a promotion that's just starting, you know what I mean? I thought it was cute that he said something about paying. He says, "Oh, they don't get paid like I do." I mean, he probably does well in the UFC, but I make more than Sean Strickland. I fight rough. But he's complaining about pay, but he's talking about all of this. Yes, I know that. No, you think it's cool that they pay more than you do. It sounds like the former middleweight champion will probably never fight under the BKFC name, even though he talks a lot about how much he loves it. Next, let's look at Kamaru Usman's attack on Dustin Poirier after his loss at UFC 302. After Islam Makhachev beat Dustin Poirier in UFC 302, the former interim champion said it was possible that fans had seen his last fight. From what the Diamond said, he has no plans to keep fighting for money if he can't compete for a UFC title after his most recent loss. While that was going on, Kamaru Usman, a former UFC welterweight champion, said that he would be interested in fighting Poirier if she stayed and wanted to move up in weight. The other day on his show with Henry Cejudo called Pound for Pound, he talked about the possible fight. But wait, he has fights. I'm writing about the Volkanovski fight because I think it will be fun. There is no way I'm going to run, but he wants to go up. That fight is really fun. I don't mean to say that I want to fight. Do not do it. That's not what I mean. But I always think about that. Dustin Poirier is the kind of guy I could really respect. So if I ever had to fight against him, it would be great. And then we go out and it's just you and your main training partner. To say, yeah, let's beat each other up. We are going to do everything we can to break each other. That fight sounds like a lot of fun. Of course, Poirier has said in the past that he thinks the fighters who cut down to 170 pounds to compete at welterweight are much bigger than him. This means that the Diamond probably won't be moving up to welterweight anytime soon. Now, let's look at Michael Page. He would easily beat Ian Garry later this month at UFC 303. Unbeaten Irish prospect Ian Garry will fight fellow striker Michael Venom Page. It will be a very exciting fight, and the winner will continue to move up the 170-pound ladder in search of a title shot. Before the fight, the odds are pretty even. Garry is a slight -130 favorite, while MVP is a +110 underdog. Still, Randy Brown recently said on the MMA Hour that he thinks Page will easily beat Ian Garry. MVP, that was easy?
Yes.
Why is it so easy? Simple. MVP is really exciting, and I think he brings something new to the class that a lot of people aren't used to seeing. There is movement from side to side, and creativity that most people don't see at all. And if you don't see that or aren't used to seeing it, even in a style like mine that's just movement, it throws people off. Do you get what I mean? When you see someone like MVP, I think that movement will throw off Ian Garry, who is the bigger guy. Besides that, he's used to doing things like that. But when you play against someone who is better at that, you know what I mean, and is more skilled and experienced in that area, I believe he can better close the gap between them. On the other hand, Sugar Sean O'Alley talked about the fight on a recent episode of the Timbo Sugar Show. Ian can hit back well, and Page will rush in. If he gets timed when he rushes in like that, he could turn off his lights. It was O'Alley's coach, Tim Welsh, who said that the fight might not go very badly because both Garry and Page like to counterpunch. Let's change the subject and look at what Aljamain Sterling has to say about what Dana White said. UFC CEO Dana White said that he still thinks Jon Jones is the best fighter in terms of power, even though Islam Makhachev recently beat Dustin Poirier. Some people were upset by White's comment, but bantamweight champion Aljamain Sterling agreed with him in a video for his YouTube account. Dana White says that Jon Jones is pound for pound on the pound for pound list over Islam. I agree, though. I think pound for pound would mean skill for skill, who would be the best guy if weight and size didn't matter. I mean, everyone has different standards. I agree. I believe it is Jon Jones. People in the MMA world spoke out quickly on the subject. Aaron Bronstetter, a reporter who has been writing for a long time, wrote, "How do you define pound for pound?" I agree with Dana White that Jon Jones would come out on top if he were in a room with anyone else. But I believe that pound for pound means that Jones would have to beat a heavyweight copy of Makhachev. What do you think? After that, Ian Parker of ESPN wrote, "If this is how it's measured, then the lower weight classes are at a direct disadvantage," which doesn't make a lot of sense. I always thought that pound for pound meant who would be the most successful in more than one weight class. Put Jones in a room with Aspinall. How sure are you that Jones will come out on top? Bronstetter then replied, "Can't say I'm sure. I'm just putting it in context based on the idea of pound for pound. Jones might not be the best boxer right now, but he is the best combat athlete of all time." They don't contradict each other. He then wrote, "I don't really think about pound for pound, but probably something like this." This was Grabaka Hitman's point of view. Overall skills also written as well-roundedness plus divisional success and recent wins over top opponents. And Valdor then joined the talk and said, "Yeah, pound for pound is about pure skill. No matter what weight class, Islam is the smartest. End of story. Things might be different when Jones comes back, but for now, Islam Makhachev is at the top of the UFC.com pound for pound rankings." Conor McGregor gets a lot of flack from MMA fans after it looks like he pulled out of his fight against Michael Chandler at UFC 303. The UFC not only canceled the press meeting that was supposed to happen over the weekend, but they also got rid of all the videos and other materials that were sent out before the event. These are the things that MMA fans said. Let's say you pay $2,000 for high seats to see Conor McGregor fight, but he doesn't show up. For years and years and years, Dana White told everyone that it was very hard to get a fighter with that much money like Conor McGregor to fight again. For that, Ariel Helwani, New York Rick, and MMA fighting media called him a liar. Will there be a live public apology? Michael Chandler, who had to wait 2 years to fight again because Conor McGregor had to back out of UFC 303. Conor McGregor gave up another fight? I can't believe it. These developments are sad because they could mean the end of his career. People used to say that Conor McGregor was one of the best fighters in UFC history, but it looks like he's done fighting for good. McGregor's choice to quit yet another fight adds to the idea that his time at the top of the sport may be over after a string of losses and problems. In the past few years, he has shown a clear lack of dedication and focus, and it looks like he may not have the drive to fight at the highest level anymore. Michael Chandler, on the other hand, is on the rise and could run for the crown. Chandler is skilled and determined enough to become the best fighter in the UFC lightweight division. He has a great record and is hungry for success. These past few shows have been nothing less than amazing, and he has quickly become a top contender. The star of Chandler is shining brighter than ever as McGregor's fades. It's clear that Chandler is ready to take on the task of becoming a champion. Because of his skill and hard work, he will definitely be a major force in the UFC for many years to come. Chandler's career is just getting started while McGregor's is coming to an end. Even though Conor McGregor and Jon Jones are stars, as the saying goes, your best skill is being available. Support the people who are making it happen right now and taking it seriously for everyone. Stop putting these guys on pedestals. Plus, Dana says that hitting Gane is like hitting Poirier, which does brain damage. And Jones must have something on Dana because the glass isn't real. It sounds like Jon Jones is still fighting when Dana says that in 6 years he's only had one fight. Jones is not going to be the GOAT. He lies to you. His name is Asterisk. When a judge makes a mistake that bad, they should be suspended without pay for life and never be able to decide anything again because they have such a bad view of things. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe for latest fight updates.